you know, you've been DJing a long time.
Yeah.
A lot of DJs don't want to hear anybody tell them what to play.
Like if your DJ's getting the crowd going too hyped, do you tell them to chill out a little bit?
Absolutely. You know, no Chief Keef right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you have to control the energy of the crowd. Cocktails help too, though, because not many people that want to start fights drink cocktails.
Right.
Yeah. You got some mint as a garnish, right?
Yeah, it's like, you know,
He ain't throwing no punches today.
I'm drinking a Manhattan in this, you know, really sexy glass, and I want to fight. No, not really.
Well, all right. Battle raps, cause I've shaken grown men to the point that they can't even face their own friends. That's why they rhyme about jewels, not life, cause the ice on which they skating is so thin.
All right. You guys ready?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Let's get it, baby. Welcome back to the Party with Strategy podcast. 2 special guests, entrepreneurs in this nice city here, Chicago, and someone that I've worked with a long time ago. Definitely excited to have you guys on the pod. And thank you for coming. Glad you're here. Hopefully you can bestow some knowledge upon me and then, you know, effectively whoever's watching as well. So welcome and thanks for coming, Q and Chris.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
What's the name? You guys got a restaurant company that has like all the stuff under it?
Yeah, we do. It's For the People Hospitality.
For the People Hospitality. Yeah. That's it.
For sure.
Yeah.
That's how you know you're official, when you got the hospitality group with the stuff under it.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, hell yeah. So what's been going on? What's good?
Man, we got a lot of stuff going on. So we got the Duplex, which is a full service restaurant, cocktail bar, heavy on the brunch side for sure. Rotating menus. We have Revolver in Wicker Park, which is a cocktail bar. DJs, of course, just like the Duplex.
Yeah.
And we got something else coming.
Yeah, it'd be early summer. So end of May, early June, we're doing a modern Mexican restaurant in Lakeview East, Lincoln Park.
Nice.
So yeah, we're really excited about this one.
Hell yeah. So, Chris, what's your background? I mean, I know Q obviously from being at Time and you were running there. Mm-hmm. And then before that, I don't even know, but you've been in the industry for a minute before that.
Man, I've been in the industry for 23 years, I believe.
Damn, bro.
I've been saying 23 years for like, for like 25 years. I don't know, but yeah. No, it's been a long time. So, I mean, I started with Darden restaurants in college. So, but, you know, I really got, you know, inserted in Chicago, you know, working with Lettuce. And then from Lettuce, it was Trump International. And then I ended up opening a space back in the burbs. I want to say 2013. And it was an outdoor venue. And it was only seasonal. So, you know, I had a really good relationship with Z and Luke over at Body and Time. And then I would come back, you know, after the season would be over, and I'll come back and run the space for him in that time being. And me and Z hit it off really well. We ended up opening up Rhyme and Reason together. And then, you know, things happen, right? And then, you know, from there, I ended up working with the Soul Clutch Group before opening the Duplex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I started, how much time you got? So
we got all the time you need, baby.
Yeah,
let's go.
I used to be in the music industry, so I started as like a hip hop artist. So I toured with like Luda, Fab, I opened for Fab, Nelly, like during that era of time. Start, you know, dropping mixtapes in the mixtape era.
Were you rapping?
Rapping.
Okay.
For sure. Chris Cap's my rap name. That's what everybody knows me as. And then I'm like, man, I'm not going to get a deal. I'm like, this isn't going to work. I met with like every major label and nothing happened. So I was like, what can I do to kind of like transition into that? Like, you're getting a little too old to rap dude phase, you know what I mean? Like, so I was like, okay, I'm going to use my likeness and get in cocktail bars. I'm like, I want to own a bar one day. This is my chance. I'm going to use being in the music industry to do it. I ended up managing Deadbolt when it first opened. I was taught by somebody really well in the game, Dustin Drankowitz. He's like a famous bartender. Has a bunch of spots he opened. He introduced me to a bunch of people in the, you know, liquor industry. End up selling a bunch of Hennessy out of Deadbolt. They end up being like, what bar you want to go to? I was like, Hollywood. So then I started flying back and forth like working for one of the best cocktail bars in Hollywood. And I'm like, cool. That didn't work out. You know, I didn't own the bar. It didn't transition really well into what I really wanted, which was I wanted a seat at the table. The guys weren't trying to really do that. But they were like, hey, you could work for us. But I'm like, man, I got to get in the game. Like, I got to get my own spot. So I end up working with another bar, investing in a place, opening up a pizza place, getting another place that I was working on. I'm like, man, I'm growing fast. I'm like, I'm not really good at operations like that. So I'm like, heard about Q. I met up with him. I'm like, I'm going to show him what I can do. Let me throw my birthday party up here. I'm going to show you how I get down, kind of, so to speak. Birthday party was great.
And where was that at?
Duplex.
At the Duplex.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was the 1 year anniversary of the Duplex. And I was like, hey, man, we're going to open restaurants together. He looked at me like I was crazy. Like, who's this dude?
Yeah, I didn't think he was crazy. Though. Nah.
And then, you know, we ended up meeting somebody else, and we formed our partnership. And I was like, hey, we got this going on. You got this. We can end up opening up spots. And that's how For the People was, like, born.
That's sick.
Yeah.
And, you know, in terms of like I think we had similar visions, right? Which is, you know, kind of hard to come by. Like operationally, we're different. I think we're just different people, right? You know, he's definitely much more extroverted than I am. You know, and I think it balances us out. You know, I'm an introvert naturally, and so, but like, you know, when we're in the room, we're in the room. You know.
Yeah, and you guys, and being on the same page is huge, I think, too, because I was just working at a spot where you know, as a DJ, you're bouncing around working at all the places. So you come across a place that's kind of not being run as well as the others, you notice real quick.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I was at a spot where, you know, one of the owners wanted one thing, the other owner wanted the other thing, and then they're both trying to convey that to the manager. So he's trying to serve both of them on two different pages, and like you can just tell it's going nowhere fast.
It's going nowhere. And,
Yeah.
And I think like we've had so many opportunities to like open up other places. We just wasn't ready yet, you know, at the time. And the thing that kind of like I knew, I was like, okay, this is a good partner to have. Like you said, visions are the same. Like we both think cocktails are super important. We both think elevated menus are important for food. We both think the type of music that you play dictates the crowd that you want. And that's kind of like the three phases of having like a good place.
Yeah.
And then when you're aligned, then you can kind of like take off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm inspired for sure, because the goal is always, you're working in these places and you're always kind of like, I've been working in this place for 10 plus years. I should be able to fucking run my own or open my own or something like that. So anytime I see someone that starts their own spot, I'm always inspired and definitely looking forward to seeing what happens and wishing success. So I'm glad to see it happening.
We got some long goals, you know.
Oh yeah.
And the buck doesn't just stop here in Chicago, right? You know, our aspirations are outside of just Chicago itself. You know, we want to get to Florida. You know, we want to get to Texas. We love to get to DC, get out to Raleigh. You know, and so we don't limit ourselves. I think we used to put a number on, you know, how many concepts we want to have, and I think that's not even it anymore. You know, it's like, man, let's just see what we can do. Let's continue to build the team the way we need it for it to be built, and expand, you know. And also, you know, we talked about this before. It's like, man, like I think this is great. We don't really do this very often.
Right.
And it's about building our own brand, you know, together and individually would allow us to align with our hospitality group, you know.
For sure.
Yeah.
That's dope. What about like when I think of, I want to open a coffee shop, right? Like that's like a dream of mine. But then even when I think about how I would put it together, the decor, the aesthetics, the designing the whole thing, do either of you guys do that, or do you hire that out to somebody?
We have done it individually for our first places, like a big imprint on that. For before I met you, I done that. He did the Duplex by himself. And
Yeah.
he can tell you and the Duplex is super beautiful.
Yeah.
When it came to Revolver, we didn't really.
No,
want
we
any
didn't.
Parts
Yeah.
of that.
Yeah.
You know,
You hired out to somebody,
We
because
did,
thinking about it
yeah.
for me, like I love creating shit, but like that's not something I could do.
Yeah.
Like the home design, all this shit. Like my girl moved in here, I gave her the reins. She took over. I said, do whatever you want. My crib has never looked better.
Yeah,
ever.
right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
You need their touch sometimes. I think we both know what we wanted it to be like.
For sure.
But we're like, man, we're not about to pick out the chandeliers. We're not
Right.
about to pick out the bar stools.
No.
And like, we can sign off on if
Yeah,
we
yeah,
want
yeah.
it or not, but like, you know.
yeah,
We're not
like
about
that's
to
a
put in
that's
all
a
the work
job
for
for
that.
somebody.
Oh, that's
like
a skill-
somebody's
and it's a
brain
skill
works
set.
in
It's a
that
skill.
way. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a skill set.
It's a
right.
skill set, you know, and it's like, man, like duplex is cool. Like, man, you know, so I create mood boards, right? And I'm like, all right, I like this, and this, right?
sure.
And then I can identify, right? I thought Revolver, and we both knew we needed for it to look the best way it could possibly look.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you know Laura Tadik, you know Bianca,
From
You know
Prism,
Bianca.
like she was a host at Prism.
Was
and
Bianca
been
in
in the
prison?
industry for
She
a
was
long
at Joy,
time.
did she? She was at Joy? Yeah. Boardroom days. Yeah.
Is it-
And Laura was there too.
Or are you talking about Tony's girl Bianca?
Tony's girl Bianca.
with the Machacita.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
that
So
Bianca.
her and
Okay, I
Laura,
got
man,
you.
they ran with
East
Revolver.
Interiors.
Yeah, East Interior Designs. I mean, they crushed it for us.
Yeah.
You know, and I've known Laura for forever. You know, and she actually did Rhyme and Reason too. But yeah, it's like, you know, for us, there's so many things that you have to do. And if you know you can bring somebody else on who can do a better job than you can and that's what they do, man, you hire them, right?
That's
Yeah.
the only way you're going to like grow.
Them.
Like, man, the last thing we want to do is everything.
Yeah.
You
Don't
know what I
want to.
mean? Like, it's exhausting.
Yeah, a strong team, right?
Yeah.
Is the
Yeah.
best way to get things done. I mean, I feel like I kind of, you know that, like I know that, but sometimes you sort of forget it because you're trying to do so much. You know what I mean? And you want to do everything, and you feel like you're not doing enough. I'm fucking playing video games for 3 hours. I'm like, fuck, bro, I should be making reels and doing all this shit. But then, like, I just played at Tao, and DJing at that spot made me realize how much more goes into somebody's night than just the music. Because a lot of times I feel the weight of the club on my shoulders playing the music, and I'm like, if I fuck up, I'm fucking up everybody's whole night.
Yeah.
Like, if I fuck this up, they're waiting on me to like get the thing going.
Yeah.
At Tao, there was the aesthetics, the decor, the staff, just the whole vibe of walking in that place. It's like the light guy was on my team, and the people who designed the place were on my team. Like, it felt like I had a team. Like it was much lower stakes, and I was able to have so much more fun and like get down because I felt like I had the support of everyone else. Like, it was all a well-oiled machine working so well together.
Yeah,
you know?
facts. Yeah.
Yeah, like I got really how I got my start even in music was I used to carry records for DJs, right? Jay Illa, DJ Torre, you know what I mean?
yeah.
Tim Buck, like I used to
R.I.P.
carry records for these dudes, right? So like, and that's how I got a firsthand view of what it was like to be in the clubs every night and all that other stuff. So like, what you're saying is true. The DJ is so important. That's why we have DJs at every place we open, we're gonna have a DJ, right?
Yeah.
Because music's so important to what a bar or a restaurant. If that's what your thing is, you can make a lot of money if you have the right music, the right DJs playing, and it's all in sync. Just like you said at Tao, right? It's like, man, I didn't feel like everybody's so dependent on me because the bar is doing this thing, the lights are right, you know what I mean, the decor is right. That's kind of like what we're about.
Yeah. Doing it right.
Yeah.
Not just throwing something together. A lot of places are like, just, all right, I'm going to open this up and we're going to play music and we're going to have some lights going and we got drinks. So people are definitely going to come here, you know? Because
Yeah,
I
it don't
feel
work
like,
like that.
I've talked to some people who are like, that's kind of how it was back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
like, you could just sort of open a spot, and if you had music and alcohol, people were coming.
It was just a different vibe, especially like in the 90s and early 2000s. It was like, it wasn't many spots to go to anyway.
Right. Yeah.
So it's like, oh, you got a spot? Cool. I want to throw a party at your spot. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So,
But even like the club scene itself has changed so much. And I'm sure you've seen the change. If you talking about, you go back, 7, 8, 10 years ago,
bottles.
it just, you know, because bottle service kind of took over, right? And what you're kind of alluding to is like the overall experience, right? Like what you don't get now in nightclubs is the value of the experience, right? It's like, you know, to me, like anybody who's thinking straight, don't make sense to buy a bottle of Casamigos Reposado for $700-800, right? Think about it, right? Think about the math. So you got your little section, bottle service girl dropped your shit off and took off, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, you're really pouring your own drinks. But if you go to the bar, right? And let's just say the number is I get 18, 20 drinks out of this bottle, right? And let's say nightclub, you're probably charging $18. Now mathematically, you add that together. I'm paying way less for those drinks at the bar than I would be at doing bottle service, right? And the section don't even matter anymore. You know, it doesn't. Like, what are you doing in the corner anyway, right?
Right.
You're sitting there, you can't hear anybody.
Yeah.
You can't hear nobody you're sitting with. So it's like the problem is the value, you know, and guys who got money understand that value's not there anymore.
Nope.
You know, I was telling Chris, I was like, man, like back in the day, why bar on Thursdays, man? I would go there when I was 26 years old. Before I was like, oh man, $40 a person. Like, or you can buy a bottle for $250. Oh, all day.
Bottle.
And you get a section.
Yeah.
Like, and you got somebody pouring your drinks for you the whole night. You know, so now it's just changed. You know. And
Every city is changed.
every city. Like, you know, we're in Miami, it's like, man, like it's the nightclub industry ain't the same here. New York is not the same. LA is not the same. You know, so now it's like, you know, what is it now? You know, is it supper clubs? Is it cocktail bars that are hybrids, right? Like, that's what, for me, that's where I want to be at. I don't want to be at a nightclub, not for real.
Yeah.
No.
You know, and so we create these environments to where like, all right, you know, if we can offer, like, listen, the food is going to be good, right? We're not trying to be, at least not yet. We don't want a Michelin star, right? Like, you know, cocktails are going to be really good, but they're going to be made for the masses, right? And the music always going to be on point.
Always.
And if staff is good, man, the management is good, like now you've created an environment, a vibe to where people, man, they can hang out for hours of the day, right? And that's ultimately what our goal is. You know, nightclub, unless there is a huge change, right? And unless, you know, we talk about, man, we're going to sell bottles for $250, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Something
it's
like that. But
and it's a way, like, because we come from the nightclub world too, right? Being around the whole thing, it's like, it's a way we would do it that would be more attractive. And I'm sure a lot of DJs know how this could be cooler, right?
Yeah.
It's not cool anymore.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not as cool as it used to be. There's ways for it to be cooler, but the people that run it aren't necessarily the cool guys that run it.
Yeah.
And I think that's where, if more cool guys got involved and kind of like partnered up and was like, all right, cool, we want to do some stuff.
Yeah.
It would be better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's another thing too, man. Like you talking about partnering up, like you talked about like the coffee shop, right? Like I've seen so many guys in this industry, as talented I am, or more talented, you know, and who have aspirations to kind of do this shit, right? And like I already know what the true issue is, right? Why they don't want to take that leap. I know what it is. It's fear. It's no different. We deal with fear all the time, right? It's the reality of it. But it's like, man, like, how long do you hold on to that, right? Because that guy gonna always be there. Fear, he ain't going nowhere.
Yep.
You know, so it's like, fuck, we're gonna take a stab at it. And worst come to worst, man, what I learned about money, it comes and goes. You can make the money back, right?
Yeah.
It ain't the end of the world, you know? So it's like, man, you know, we talk about, man, we would love to really get a group together, right? And like other guys who are talented, get together, man, let's do something dope together, you know? But if not, we
just gonna do it
keep
ourselves.
pushing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep
That's
pushing.
it.
Would you ever get back into the nightclub game? Would you open maybe like a boutique, like a smaller nightclub that was done fucking really right and cool in the way that you envisioned it, with the knowledge of knowing that the whole bottle service thing's dead? You know what I'm saying? Maybe put like a real dance floor back in there, something like that.
We talked about that.
We talk about it.
Yeah.
we talk about it, man, because like, man, it's missing.
It's
right?
missing,
It
yeah.
is missing, and it's not as though people don't want to dance, right?
Because they do.
They do.
They
want to
dance at Revolver. It's like no room.
There's no room. There's no room to dance in
Yeah.
there. They dance a duplex with tables in the way.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, you know, and you go to any like Latin hybrid restaurant, they're always dancing. You know, so like, you know, how can we do it? One is for it to be safe and smart. One, listen, knock on wood, we ain't had no incidents.
Right.
Duplex be going on 3 years. Revolver's finished his first year. and it is this equation on how I believe and he believes to keep it safe, right? Not saying some idiot comes in and acts a fool, right? But for the most part, man, we've had no issues, right? You know, so
and DJs are important when
the
it
music
comes to that.
Yeah, that's another
Like
topic.
if your DJ's getting the crowd going too hyped, do you tell them to chill out a little bit?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I feel like
Yeah.
you know you've been DJing a long time.
Yeah.
A lot of DJs don't want to hear
Right.
anybody tell them what to play. But I feel like because of my background, and I'm like, yo, it's coming from me. So it's like, I'm in music. I understand. I get it.
Yeah.
I've carried records. You know what I mean? My best friend's DJs for Estelle. I get it, bro. Like, but I kind of need you to, no Chief Keef right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Sexy Red. Yeah, it's cool. Go in, go out.
But
you know what I
hit
mean?
me with some
like,
Tevin Campbell after.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Mix it in.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what to do. Go in, go out. You know what I mean? Sexy Red for like 15 seconds. Then we go to something else. You know what I mean? Like, and then most DJs respect it when you come at them the right way too. You know what I mean? Not like, man, take that off, cut that off. You know what I'm saying? Like, so. Yeah, but you have to control the energy of the crowd. Cocktails help too, though, because not many people that want to start fights drink cocktails.
Right.
Yeah.
That's facts.
You got some mint as a garnish, right?
Yeah, it's like, oh,
yeah.
I'm
He ain't throwing no punches today.
I'm
He ain't
drinking a
doing that.
Manhattan in this, really sexy glass, and I want to fight. No, not really. So,
Yeah. That is an important thing, and even sometimes if you're probably working with someone you've been working with for years, they can get caught up in the moment because sometimes
For
it's
sure.
fucking fun. You got control of this whole crowd, and you're like, I'm taking them there,
I'm taking them.
and then you got to be like, well, let's bring them back a little bit.
Fortunately, like my friend, the Torre, he'll look at me and he'll have his hand like on a record, like, I'm about to play this. You're gonna be upset, and I just give him this look, like, come on, man, just real quick, and he just puts it on. And he laughs and then he switches it out. But you get excited because the crowd's having a good time. You know how it is.
100%.
But we also have to. I would rather own a place for like 15 years than have like a super hot run for 2 years and it just gets not the way you want it to be.
Longevity for sure.
Yeah. That's what you want. It's like I said, man, like obviously working at Body and Time, right? And then you see the opposite abstract when you're talking about Studio Paris. Like they were really tight about, and every DJ knew what music they could not play, right? They want everybody to have a good time, but there are certain things you couldn't play. And at Body and Time, like if you remember Luke, like if Luke heard some bullshit on, that, man, he's jumping on the DJ right away. You know what I'm saying? So like it's one of the things, man, like there's certain songs you cannot play. What is it? Meek Mill, what song is that?
Dreams and
Nightmares. Like, bro, everybody knows you can't play that shit, right? Like everybody knows. Like, and from whatever reason, man, everybody got super hype on it, man. Super. I remember,
it's like it was a national anthem at one point.
I mean, it does go hard, bro. I don't even like that song. Like you'll never catch me listening to that song in my whip.
Yeah.
But in the club when everyone's having a good time.
Yeah.
And especially like when you don't have a nightclub and it's just like a cocktail bar, it's like, man, you don't want people standing on your couch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't want people like, because it makes you want to stand on the couch. Like it makes you want to get all crazy.
Yeah.
It's a great song, but it's a great song when you don't want it played in your spot. You're like, oh.
Yeah. That's also like there's a cool pocket, especially right now, for where technology's at with Serato stems and just being able to take apart any track and take the acapella and put a different beat on it. Like Heavy just released this pack of edits that's all hip hop vocals over disco tracks. And
there's ways to get around it.
That's the wave right there. Because you still get the song on, people hear it, it's familiar, they like it, but it's got a danceable aspect to it. It's got a fun aspect. It's not like a fucking whoa, let's go. You know?
Because we know, like, man, people 808s and certain beats create a certain trigger in your brain to make you want to act a certain way. It's just facts, right? Yeah. And as an artist, you know this. That's why you do certain beats a certain way. It's gonna make people feel a certain way. You put a disco track behind it, it changes it up a little bit.
Changes the vibe. You still get to sing along. You get to dance a little bit. Like I downloaded that pack Saturday before my gig, and I was just hype to play all that shit, bro.
Yeah.
So excited.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
It's fun. It's fun. It's hard for me these days, like with just the overall tone of just the culture, the world right now. It's just like a sad and kind of scary and kind of like what's gonna happen next type of place, I feel like right
Yeah.
now. And I don't even like playing new hip hop where motherfuckers are just talking about shooting each other and this and that and all. I'm just like, I'm over that, bro. I wanna cultivate fun.
Yeah.
I want fun.
And you know what I think is like funny? It's like, it's not necessarily that they're saying anything different that people back then said. The beat is different.
Yeah.
It's real low, like vibrational beats now. Like, it doesn't make you want to dance, or it doesn't feel fun. Because if you really listen to what Biggie's talking about on Warning, and I mean, he's talking about shooting somebody they trying to rob them,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
But the
yeah.
beat is so crazy, you're like,
Yeah.
oh, this sounds great. You know
It's
what I mean?
more smooth, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of songs like that, you know, but it's like the tempo and the beat is really what dictates whether or not you want to play it in a spot.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's going to trigger a reaction from people.
I think the temperature of the world is different too, though.
Yeah.
And listen, as I've been around, as long as I've been around, like, I mean, the temperature's always been kind of, you know, but for some odd reason, like I think you alluding to, is like, man, like there were some issues, right? And it seemed like violence is just always there, right? And then you get into spaces where, especially big spaces. One thing we talk about is that we don't want large spaces.
No.
We don't want to. And the reason being because there's so much competition, especially in Chicago. Chicago, I think, is one of the toughest industries, and I'm talking about the industry that we're in, right? Is that you go and you build out this huge venue, right? And you have like this nightclub-esque environment. Every night you can feel it. So what are you doing then? Now you're bringing on promoters, right? You're bringing on promoters, and I've dealt with them. You know, I've seen it, and no knock, because they hustle too, right? I'm not even knocking that. It's just that they're looking at money, and we're looking at longevity, right? So at times, listen, you're pressed. You're trying to make a buck. You're gonna bring in whatever you need to bring in to make that buck, and the venue always are at the expense of what the promoter is doing, which I've seen a lot of places fall because of it, you know. And so we told ourselves, like, man, like, we don't ever want to get into those situations to where, like, listen, I would rather rebrand than try to fill the space with people we don't know, right? And we can't really control, you know. So, but man, we try to keep it simple, man. Like, you know, you talk about just the music in general, man. I think if the music is right, G, lighting, mood, and all that, man,
Good to go.
you're good.
Yeah. Those, I mean, that's the key ingredients.
Yeah.
That's really all you need for a good party. But I do like that, what you said about having too big of a space and then feeling like you have to do something because otherwise the bills aren't going to get paid.
Right.
You're gonna shut
Or
it down.
like your employees aren't, you got employees depending on you now and they're
Yeah.
not getting money. And it's just like, then you start scraping and making decisions solely based off of the money.
Yeah.
That may not be the right decision.
Yeah.
And Carmen actually talked about that a little bit on the pod as well. Like, cause it was slow season when we did it. And this slow season to me felt
Even slower than
like
it's ever been.
the craziest slow season
Yeah.
I've ever felt. Like, it's like slow season is slow season and you know it.
Yeah.
But for some reason, this one just felt like everything was coming to an end or something.
Yeah.
Now
Oh, yeah.
today, the weather's
The weather-
nice. The sun's
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
You got
Now you
all the
feel like,
hopes in the
oh,
world.
vibes
are right.
Summer's
Yeah.
coming.
Yeah. Oh man, we dealt with that. We talk about, and a lot of people know, man, like, what year is this? What year is this? 2024?
2024.
2023 was fucking rough, bro.
Woo.
Yeah.
Rough, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know, business, personally, it was tough, man. It's like, you know, I think a lot of operators were like, oh shit, 2022, we crushed it. You know what I'm saying? And was it an anomaly? Like, was that real numbers, right? Or was it that we came off COVID? Everybody's just out. Everybody got this
excited.
excess money. You know, everybody's like, oh, man, I can run credit for however long it runs for. And then, boom, 2023 hits, right? Inflation is hitting, I think, the end of 2022 or something like that, right? And like, you see this big decrease in revenue. I'm like, damn, what we doing? Are we doing something wrong?
Doing
right?
something
Doing
wrong.
something wrong.
Question yourself.
Yeah, and like, and then I'm asking people in the industry, like, man, are y'all dealing with the same shit? Then I'm asking, like, you know, your distributors, your liquor distributors, like, man, sales are down 25, 30%. When you look at the numbers, like you talk about across the year, you're down 25, 30%. Bro, that's your payroll.
Yeah, you're done.
You're done. That's your payroll, right? And like now we're stressing, we're trying to figure out ways, right?
To bring revenue.
To bring revenue in.
Yeah.
Without going outside our boundaries.
Right.
You know.
Without changing what you do.
Yeah. And man, fuck, I mean, it's 2020, man. It was, listen, you know, I told, you know, guys who want to get in this industry, I said, listen, man, they're gonna be dark days.
Oh yeah.
And you have to be able to deal with it, right? You know, unless, you know, you're lucky enough to where you got investors just pumping you money, right? And we're not in that lane yet, right? And so for us, it's like, how we making money, right? How consistently? Because again, I said this competition is stiff, man. You talking about? Let's think about the big dogs, at least in the avenue that we're in, right? You got Lettuce, Boca, One Off, Four Corners, Dynamic, Soda Cough. You got all these guys. You got even me, Carmen. Carmen's been around for a while now, and what he's done, you know. And so like it's a lot of that, man. And like our population ain't doubling. Right, but you see a fucking restaurant opening, or you know, a spot
every
open,
day.
Yeah, every day, and I'm like, but then you see 2 places are closing every day, right? And there needs to be some correction, you know. And I'm not knocking. I don't want nobody to fail, but I think what you're seeing, though, at least in Chicago, I don't know about all the other major cities, probably the same, is that there's correction, and if it's happening, it's coming for sure. Is that a lot of places won't hold. The bigger guys will probably consolidate. Venues that are doing really well, we're focused on those. Those aren't, we'll close, sell them off, whatever. And you know, and that's what you see is like, man, like how many restaurants can Chicago afford to have? How many bars and nightclubs can they have? Right? It's enough, you know.
Yeah, without your population going up for sure.
Yeah.
It's like
Population may even be going down. A lot of people talk
right.
about how
Yeah.
people are leaving the city.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which makes you have to be more creative on what it is that you're doing, and really be on your staff about being great, and make sure the food is great, make sure the cocktails is great, make sure the DJs are great. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it push your feet to the fire. Make sure you're marketing correctly,
Mm-hmm.
being creative. You just got to really be on top of what you're doing.
And we talk about this all the time. Like, we got a really unique lane. And when I say this, we call a spade, me and him are black, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you talking about black operators, right? Or restaurateurs, whatever you want to call it, right? Is like, that lane is wide open. And you've seen guys in this industry who uber talented. They get a call from a fucking nightclub. Hey man, we want you to do Thursdays for us, right? And instead of them, right, trying to build their own, right? They're like, all right, I'm gonna go here, set club. I'll make my 20% commission. Boom, I'll bang out their night for them. Boom, I'm gone. And then you got another club calling, right? And if you assess why they're calling you, or why they're asking you to come on and take a night, like, you have to look and understand is that it's a cash grab for them. It is a way for them to stay in business. It's a way for them to have a busy night. And it's like, man, gee, like, how long are you gonna, you know, sell your soul slightly, right? Because, you know, after a while, like, you would want to, because there's guys, and I won't say any names, who I think are great at what they do. Every time they're doing something, man, they got a really good following.
You're talking DJs.
No, I'm talking
Just
like,
anything.
You call them promoters, kind of like curators. Let's say curators,
Okay.
right? Because listen, so DJs and curators to me are very similar, right? I think because they both curate a night, and so like those guys who curate nights, they have this relationship with operators, so they see the operation different when the DJ sees it, and they go to a space, they bang out a night. All right, bro, you just filled their venue, right? And they gave you 20% cut. And you pay out all your other expenses. I don't know what that even, you know, leads to. I don't know how much that financially it does. But it's like, gee, like, I'm like, you're doing this at different venues every month. Imagine if you had your own venue, right? What you could do with your own venue. You got all the marketing tools. I'm sure your email list is probably crazy. I'm sure your phone text message is probably crazy. Like, man, like, bro, do your thing, G. Like, it is there. And I'm sure if these guys get together, man, they'll find the money. The money can be found.
But it's like you said too, a lot of it is like when all the weight's on your shoulder to pay all the bills and and like staff and train and what you really, like you said, partnering with an operator.
Yeah. And I mean, just speaking from myself as a DJ, where I can walk into a club, and be like, damn, why the fuck are their lights so bright right now? It's nighttime.
Yeah.
They should be
Right.
turned down. Why are these people sitting over here when everybody should just be here? Like, close that section. Whatever it is, I can pick it apart. But then when I go to think about like, okay, I know all this stuff, I'm going to go open up my own spot. I'm like, do I really fucking know what? All I know is from the DJ booth. I've never ran it. I've never been in the office. I've never done all these. There's so many more positions, So like, I feel on one hand like I know a lot. And then I feel on another hand like I don't know shit.
And the beauty of like, I will never know as much as he knows because he worked at Lettuce and he done certain things. I had to go a different way. Yeah, I was a waiter before, did a certain thing. I managed the bar, but never to he's kitchen, host. And like now I've learned being a partner with him, owning my own restaurant before, running it before, cooking in the kitchen, you figure it all out because you have to go through experience. And sometimes you got to take an L.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people don't want to take an L. And that's really what it is. It's like you have to lose sometimes to win, and
100%.
part of it.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody who's winning has ever not lost.
You gotta lose.
Absolutely. You have to.
Yeah, and I think that scares people too, like the losing part.
Yeah.
Of it.
It definitely scares me for sure. Yeah.
And I think even the older you get, I think it's even
Oh,
tougher.
yeah, it's tough.
I think it's even tougher, man.
Yeah, wife, kids, whatever.
Yeah.
You got a
Yeah,
girlfriend.
you got a girl, man. You committed, trying to get married, at some point. And you're like, man, I'm about to flush out $60,000. I don't know if I'm going to get it back.
It does, because I recently got a girlfriend now, and my mindset prior to that, I'm 34. Prior to 6-7 months ago was just me. It didn't matter. Like nothing fucking mattered. Any decision I made didn't matter. I was like, I could do whatever the fuck I want. It doesn't matter. Now when I'm making decisions, I'm like, hold on. I'm like working towards a goal here. It's not, everything's not up in the air. Nothing doesn't matter anymore. Things matter. And I'm trying to build this life for myself and do this thing. So like, I gotta actually think about this stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because it'll test your relationship.
It definitely will, man. It
For
definitely
sure.
tests you. I know I've come across talented people, man.
Oh,
and like
yeah.
I would say, man, like you don't have to know everything. You find people who know what you don't know.
Exactly.
And it's like, imagine this. Let's say I'm a DJ, right? I want to open up a venue, right? I'm gonna split whatever 5-6 ways, right? Change ain't coming in, but guess what? I get to play at my own venue 2 nights out the week, right? And still get paid on it as my whatever my LLC is, and I'm golden, right? You still got enough cash you're bringing in to make sure you take care of what you need to take care of, right? You got ownership, right? And you want to make sure, it goes the way it's supposed to go. Whatever DJ will probably handle the music anyway, who come in, who doesn't.
Right.
So you're always, looking at what the vibe is. So you're going to have a handle on that. And it's just really finding the right people to align yourself with, to open a space. Listen, we know it's hard. And I think when you add food into it, makes it a lot more difficult,
Changes
right?
the game.
Yeah, it's because now you're dealing with a lot more employees in a different way, right? I think, I tell about it, man, I think the biggest frustration of all of it is the fucking employees, bro. Like, listen, I've lived on this service for 4 decades, right? And some change. You know what I'm saying?
Look good.
Appreciate it.
No
Appreciate
Diddy.
it.
No Diddy.
Yeah. No Diddy.
No Diddy.
No Diddy. So man, like it seemed like every generation I was working with, been a part of, has been different, slightly different.
Yeah.
And I think this group now that you see is that I've never, maybe I'm wrong. I just don't see I've seen a lot of turnover, but it's done different, right? Like, a lot of low character, low integrity, and that is like, it's different, man. Like working hard, like what is working hard really, right? Listen, no one is asking you to run around this motherfucker sweating, right? Sliding through and sweeping up poop, no?
Yeah.
But at the very least, man, what is asked of you, your job, come in, do your work, go about your business. Listen, I've always had aspirations to have my own shit, right? But if I'm working for somebody, I'm giving my 100+%. That's just me though, right? Like, I don't care what I do. I don't care if I like the manager or not. I don't care if people always arguing. Like, none of it matters to me. I am here. I'm about to work, and I'm gonna make some decent money, and I'm gonna go about my business, and go to sleep, and come back the next day. Right? I don't get consumed with all the other moving pieces. Right? When I was at work, I was at work. Everybody's like, "Oh, toxic environment, all this. Where that shit even come from? Like, who made that? I don't know who made it up. But anyway, right?
Toxic work environment.
Yeah. You know, listen, I'm sure, right? Listen, as long as, well, it's a couple of things that you should not deal with, for sure, right? And if you're not getting paid, obviously you should leave, right? But in terms of, you got a manager, who's tougher on you than the other one, or you got to work 6 days in a week or a week, whatever it is, man. Like, I just think, like, because it's not just us, right? I've talked to guys who do more revenue than what we do, and they're having the same issues, bro.
Hard to find employees.
Hard to find good employees.
And I think we, even as consumers, see that going to fucking Starbucks.
Yeah.
Right.
Even on just a level of going to the grocery store or something.
Yeah.
Nobody's helpful anymore.
No.
It's hard to find a good fucking employee. It's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of it too is so funny being on this side of things too, right? Because like I think a lot of people forget, like, yo, I've been where you at, like, but then you become the man, right? It's like, man's holding us down. It's like, oh shit, we're the man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's like, oh shit, like, damn. But like, I get it. It's like I get what you're trying to say, but this ain't really that. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
we get where you're coming from, so to speak, but you have a business, you have to make sure your business runs the right way.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people forget about that.
Yeah, sometimes that takes like a stern talking to from somebody. And if you can't handle that, that's not the person who gave you the stern talking to's fault. That's like your parents' fault, honestly.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying?
Man, Strat, I talk about this with him, man. We do interviews, you got to interview, hire somebody. Like, man, I tell him all the time, I would love to interview your parents first.
Man.
No, I'm dead serious, because like then you know what you're gonna deal with, right? There's times I'm like, man, I want to interview their partner.
Yeah, whoever they're with.
Yeah.
Because then like, are we dealing with
him or her? Or
yeah,
them,
you know what I mean?
too?
Yeah, it's wild nowadays.
Yeah, for sure.
It's crazy. I hate to sound old, but it's like, it's crazy. You know what I mean?
It is.
It is wild.
Yeah.
It's I hope the pendulum swings back. You know what I'm saying? I hope that we come back to, not being so soft, and it's,
I don't know, man. I was just talking about that today. I was just like, man, people so soft. Just like, it's wild to me.
There's like a good softness to somebody, like an empathetic softness, but then there's like a cower and run away because something's just a minorly uncomfortable.
It's a lot of Twitter fingers and people that hide behind phones, and it's just it's reality. It's like, I think social media makes people comfortable to be soft.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, people have a hard time communicating nowadays. You see it even if you date, like, it's a lot of people on apps that they're dating all the time, and like they're having issues with dating. It's just like, because people can't communicate. It's just like everybody's on the phone all the time. So it's like, how can your communication skills be good? And you see it at work. It's like people have a hard time communicating. Instead of telling you like what my issue is, it's like, I'm gonna cower it up.
Yep.
And I'm gone. You know what I mean?
And
like,
that's the generation that's coming into the workforce now, right? Is the people that were raised like solely on these screens.
Yeah.
And that's what we're seeing now. That's
you see the kids out when they're out to eat, and they got like a screen in their face. It's wild to me. The screen's in their face and like their plates on the table. I'm like, yo, you have food like in front of you. It's like they just like, nah, give them the screen.
They got headphones on and everything.
It's so
Check
wild.
I was like,
bro.
what is going on?
I'm like, whoa, this is crazy.
I do.
Yeah.
Listen, man. I think parents don't want to parent. I do. And maybe
you are a parent, right?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
like
Oh,
I
know,
can't
man.
sit here and
I
speak
can't
about
either.
parenting.
Yeah.
I don't know shit
No,
about
man.
it, but
I know. Like he knows. Like 2 of my kids work for. So
wild.
it's. But and it's like, mean, the same thing that I would say to an employee, right? My kids are, I get it. I say to an employee, they're about to cry. They're upset.
It's
I can't
wild.
believe he said it to me that way.
It's so funny because
I'm
like
like-
I'll come in and like I know when he's there because everybody's like, oh, it's like dad's home, and I'll start laughing. Right? It's just like dad's here. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's like their father talking to him, and all he's doing is just he might just say something to you like, hey, you're doing that wrong. You put that the wrong way, and they're just like, oh my god, it's like my dad telling me.
Yeah.
Oh, I got to put my clothes up. You know what I mean? And I'm just like, yo, this is wild to me. I start laughing. I'm just like, it's crazy. But yeah.
And so like we're talking, man. So like even now, man, I've taken a step back in having these conversations with staff, right? Like,
But do you feel like that's hurting? Like, can you see the effects of it? Are you like, damn, like how do I get these people to do what I want? I have this vision. I own this place. I started this place. They work for me. I want them to do what I want them to do. How do I get them to do it?
Man.
yeah. Who you want? You want to go?
You know what? So we talk about this too, right? Because I would say we're both control freaks, right?
Yeah.
Control freaks, but we know how to share the control. You know what I mean? But it's so hard for me to like watch the building burn, right? My instinct is I'll just go pick up the plate. I'll go wipe the table off. I'll help run the food. It gets to the point you can't do that when you own multiple spaces.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And he tells me all the time, man, don't do that shit. And I'm like itching to like, you know, I could help the situation right now. I could stop the building from burning. He's like, man, leave the shit alone. Just let them figure it out. And it's hard to do that, but you got to let them figure it out. And then you have to manage the managers. That's like the point that we're at.
Yeah.
When you want to like scale and grow and build multiple locations, you can't be everywhere at one time.
Yeah.
And that's just the fact that sometimes it's gonna get fucked up.
And here's the most fucked up part about that whole thing is that's where we're at right now. And it's also colliding with the time of like robots and AI.
Yeah.
Wow.
So like that could be the future, right? Like all these employees suck.
Yeah.
I'm getting robots, bro. Like,
Yeah.
but-
problem solved.
The thing is,
Yeah.
like, they all don't suck.
Not all of them, but
Right.
there's a lot. It's tough to find a good worker. I don't want to say all, you know.
I
don't
would
wanna-
say, like, what's hard is to find, I think hospitality, we talk about this too. It's a culture of, if I don't like this job, I'm gonna quit. I'm gonna go work at another restaurant, right? Then you go to another restaurant or bar or whatever, like, I don't like this shit. I'm gonna go to another
because
place.
it's the same thing. They're just asking you to do your job.
Yeah.
And then you end up
Yeah.
working at like, man, you see their resume is like they worked at like 15 places.
Yeah.
You're like, damn, they worked at like every restaurant. You know what I mean? But it's like, eventually, what you hope is to find, like he says, 1 out of 30 people that will stick with you.
Call it a 30-1 odds. You're gonna hire 30 and one gonna stick. And it sucks to say it, but man, you know, when I go back and look now, I'm like, oh shit. Like, yeah, it's about 30-1 odds. And I tell them now, and I tell the manager, like, don't get too attached to any said employee.
Yeah.
Right? Because what it does, it dilutes your decision making at times as well. And it's like, you think you got this really good employee, right? I tell them, like, interviews are like first dates. Everybody's
sure.
showing their best self, for the most part, unless you're just an asshole. For the most part, you're showing your best self. And then you get them in those situations to where you're trying to provide structure. And what I've learned, a lot of these kids, employees, they don't want structure. They want freelance. What you see in the world nowadays, you don't see a lot of structure. It is damn near chaotic, right? And so first open duplex, I looked at it this way. I was like, man, you know what? I'm not going to be able to compete in terms of getting talent the way like some of these other guys get talent. So I'm going to get nice people, right? And I'm going to work every day, right? I can kind of control everything. And I'm gonna get with Toast, and we're going to do an order and pay system, right? And like there was so much good in it, and it was so much like, if you're one of the first people to do an order and pay system, you're aware what order and pay system is.
Honestly, no. And
Okay.
yeah. let
So
know.
me and you, we go into the restaurant. Host is there. She seats us down, right? We scan a QR code. We're greeted with water, but we're going to place our order through the QR code. You're going to order your cocktail, I'm order mine. Order your food, order yours. And we're going to send it through. Server's gonna bring it out. Whoever drops off the cocktails drops the cocktails. When it's time for us to go, say you want to leave first. Hey, I got to go run. I got a gig to do. You're gonna close out, right? You're gonna pay yours, close out, boom, you're done. You don't have to wait for somebody else to come to you.
Okay.
Right? I'm gonna sit around for a little bit longer and I'm gonna stick it out. So, what you kind of saw during COVID was that you saw everybody like was having issues with staffing. So service sucked for the most part in a lot of places, right? You're still trying to produce the same stuff, but you don't have the staff to kind of back that. So I was like, listen, we don't have the staff. So this is what we're going to do to cut around it. And it was like, man, the revenue was fucking great. And it was like every service or every other service, we'll get somebody who's like, oh, I don't like this shit. You guys are like bots and robots. Like some of the reviews that
would have been me.
Yeah. But it's tough to try to make people understand the struggle.
Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah.
There's no way. They're not gonna understand. They don't care to understand.
No,
because you know what? They want to go out and have a good time and not deal with anything.
It's
right?
their money.
It's
yeah.
their money.
Yeah.
So after about a year and a half, we went back because listen, service should be it should be full service. I'm gonna go out and spend good money. It should be good service. You should have somebody attend to you and
know the menu.
Yeah.
And talk about the menu and give you suggestions and all that good stuff.
So the flip was a struggle to go back from order and pay to go back to what traditional service is.
So is that where you guys are at now? You're not doing pay to go anymore?
No.
But now that you've switched back, and you could weigh the two against each other, you're sticking with still traditional?
Man, you know what, man? I've thought about it, and it was like
we've had conversations about going backward
because it's like, okay, unless you can provide training that is 2 weeks long, right? You have hired somebody who loves this industry and who has pride in the industry, and those are rarities nowadays. Or you're just gonna have somebody who's like, listen, I just want to check. I want to come in and work 6 hours. I don't want to work 8. I want to work 6, maybe 5.5. I just want to drop some food off and drinks, and I'm going to go. I don't really care about learning everything. The menu is there on the QR code. They got all the shit, the allergies, the ingredients are all there. So it's like, do you keep trying to find the right people, right? Because the right people care. They take pride in what they do, so they'll learn whatever it needs to learn to get through this job, right? Or we keep finding shit that we find, right? And what we're hoping is that we do find that staff, right? And they all don't have to be great. That's the thing, right? It's the weight of the staff, right? You just need 60-40. 60% needs to be great, 40 can be good, right? And I think unless there is something that major that happens, I think we would stick to the direction that we're at. Now we're about to do an everyday brunch, and you can have a bartender on and one staff member on. You got a food runner, and we'll put the order and pay up for them, right? I'm at brunch. I got my laptop open anyway. I'm whatever before I get back to work. I don't want nobody to talk to anyway. So we think lunch is a little different. I think it's operated differently.
Yeah.
So maybe
sense.
in that sense, yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always kind of hated the just scan the QR code, put your credit card in your phone. But most of my boys love that shit.
Yeah.
So we go out to eat because it's already split up. You're on your own. You don't got to talk to nobody. You're just in there.
Who
do your
owes
thing.
what?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
A lot of people do love it.
Yeah.
And I know people that hate it too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like the catch-22.
Yeah.
I actually enjoyed it because I would always get stuck with the bill. So I'm just like, man, this is great for me. That's when I met him. I was like, this is genius. You know what I mean? This is the wave of the future.
Yeah.
Because of course I had to pay every time I would go out. It's like you stuck with it. But
But even mistakes were small. If you fucked up your own order, man, that's on you. Really, that's on you. So it cut a lot of waste out. The system wasn't perfect, right? There were some imperfections, but they're still working to get it perfect. And I'm gonna tell you, when they do, though, it's gonna be way better than what it was.
Yeah.
What you need, I think, if that system if it ever catches fire, you need a big group like Lettuce to take it on, right? Because people are like, oh, Lettuce using it, all right, we can, we're all good, everybody's good, right? Yeah. Now you some guy who's oh, this guy, he's trying to be different. No, it was just trying to protect what we had.
Yeah. That makes sense. But I mean, I think you're right. If you you do want to build that team and you're looking for those loyal people and you're putting in the time to do those 30 interviews just to find that one that's going to stick, it'll happen. It'll take a while. You have to work hard, but I think it'll happen, you know?
Yeah.
And we've been fortunate to find, like, there's some really good people, you know what I mean? Like, transition's always hard too, though. Like, when you're making changes, it's like people hate change.
I fucking hate change.
People hate change.
Thinking about change makes me uncomfortable.
Right.
I hate it.
And that's what happens. And so you realize that and you're like, oh shit, they don't like the change. They're not going to be here long. Because you know what I mean? Like, people don't like change.
Yeah.
So then you got a new crop of people because change happened.
Yeah.
You know? So it's a part of the game. It's like you can't complain about it. It's just like that's what we signed up for, kind of like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it's cool too sometimes. As much as it gets on our nerves, it's like chess too. You try and figure it. You got something to figure out every day.
Yeah.
Fucking like it's a never ending.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you wake up thinking about work, you midday thinking about work, you going to bed dreaming about it, thinking about it, right? Like, and it's part of it. I think there has to be something that is almost psychotic, you know, to be doing the shit that we do, right? Like there's like. Because it doesn't make sense for anybody to want to do the shit that we're doing.
Right.
Like, I wish it on no man. Like, listen, you really want to do this?
Yeah.
You know? And I think what we both enjoy is that I think we get our kicks at like creating this environment for people to come in and have a good fucking time. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Like that's my fun. Like I don't care about traveling. I don't care about being on fucking boats and shit. I don't care. I don't care. What I do care about is watching people enjoy their life, right? And that you're part of creating that, you know. So I think that's why we do what we do.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I love sitting back and you're like, damn, Duplex is packed right now. I go to Revolver, I'm like, damn, Revolver is packed right now. You know, and both places are just like going crazy. It's like knowing you helped create that is amazing.
Yeah. You're seeing people enjoy themselves. Good times.
For sure. And they're right down the street from each other. So it's like super cool. And it's like, damn, we're going to open something else. Like the creation process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That is.
It's got to share some similarities to DJing. You're playing something and they're enjoying it and you're like, fuck yeah. We're all doing this together.
And because DJs do different stuff, right? Like well, I don't know about computer is a little different nowadays than when people have records, but every DJ has their own spin of how they do things, which makes you unique.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's kind of like with us, like, we're not Lettuce, we're not Boca, we're for the people. So we do things a little differently. You know what I mean? It's like being a DJ. Like you said, everybody got their own vibe and way of doing stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you think about this in this industry, like you guys are artists. Like artists, right? Like I couldn't imagine doing what you do. I couldn't. I love music, but I don't hear music the same way you hear music, right? Like you can probably see music, right? I just like music.
I feel like I could see it because I've been staring at it in waveform since I was fucking 12 years old.
Right.
You know?
And you just seeing it and it's like, oh wow, I know what, you know, it's crazy. Yeah, I get it.
But you said that food is like the toughest thing, right?
Yeah.
Would you ever think, because I've always admired the spots, especially in Houston, I saw this a lot. Bars, they had their whole operation, and then they had a spot for a food truck. So they had food, but it's like not on their dime. It's not something they really got to worry about, but they provide food to keep people there, keep them fed well, you know what I mean? Is that something that you ever thought about?
Well, I don't think it works for Chicago. I don't believe so. I think when you're in, you know, warm weather cities, Houston, thing like that, because they're huge on food trucks. Austin, that's what that's what they were known for, you know, before they kind of took off, you know. And I think if you're in the right city, I think it makes sense.
But even the same concept of providing a space and then just letting someone else do their thing. Like a cloud kitchen type of thing, right?
Who does that?
I think Roxy has that.
Roxy, what's this? Welcome Back Lounge. I think they do something like that in Wicker, where it's
Yeah.
like they have a bar, but then they got a food truck in the back, and I think it's like different pop up kitchens that they have,
think-
so they don't have to do the food. You
Right,
know what I mean?
right.
Lost
Like,
Lake, I believe, was one of them. Was Lost Lake had the
Lost
window to the
Lake.
next place,
Yeah,
and you could just order food and through the window, and you would get your food.
Okay,
You know,
yeah.
So yeah,
That's something I always was like, I like that concept. I feel
Right.
like it's like a, I don't know, like a diet way of,
yeah,
having
a diet
your
way
own-
of having a restaurant.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
because the food aspect, man, it's a different beast, man.
Man,
It's
it
like
is.
food's so expensive, and it's
Yeah.
like staffing, and then like make sure it comes out correctly, and then still having to do the bar, and still, you know,
Mhm.
that's why it takes like we're very fortunate. You have to have a good partner, man. I'm just telling you the truth. I was going crazy, like I'm like, man, how am I gonna have 3 places by myself? Like, this is crazy. I'm like, I can't do it. You know, if I had to humble myself and be like, I'm not good enough for this right now. I need a partner that is good in this area. I'll take on this area. I will assist him in that area. And that's just, you know, being self-aware pretty much, you know. Same with the food aspect. I get what you're saying.
yeah,
It's wild.
facts. Yeah,
The robots are coming. That's
No,
all. That's all we need to
no,
know.
they're coming for sure.
They coming.
Robots
AI
are
is here for sure. But yeah, no, industry is a wild place, man.
Yeah. The thought about opening your own spot is crazy. How about, like, do you guys know anything outside of Chicago? Like, I'd imagine Chicago is one of the tougher cities to do it because of the regulations and the rules and the loopholes and the aldermen, and like there's just so much bullshit.
Yeah,
It's different for
Yeah.
sure. You know what I mean? Chicago is Chicago, like for sure. Like I believe, and I'm not gonna say that it's easier, but it's like, because you still have to know the market that you're going to, right?
Yeah.
You can't just be like, oh, I'm gonna go to this city and it's gonna work because I make it work in Chicago.
Yeah.
No. You should probably do your research. You should probably look at the city. Can I make it work here? The area, will it fit? Will what I do translate here? It's like, it's a lot of that. So we've been traveling to other places, checking out their cities and like what they do good, what we think we can do, where we think we can put it. It's like market research. Same shit.
yeah.
You know?
What are some of your favorite cities outside of here?
Ooh.
To like operate in, or just in general.
In general, what are you talking
I think probably to operate, maybe, the best of both, somewhere where you would live and also open
Okay.
a spot.
Okay, that's fair. Dallas, DC.
I've never been to DC.
Yeah, I like DC.
It's dope.
Chocolate
Yeah, I
City.
like DC. Miami.
Miami. Miami's
I like
dope.
Savannah,
Georgia, huh?
Yeah. Raleigh.
The only thing I know about Raleigh is that that's where Little Brother's from.
Come on, man. I mean, you got
Little
the
brother.
triangle over there with you got Duke, North Carolina, NC State.
State.
You know, so that's all there. Houston, I think I'd asked you earlier about Houston, I don't know, man.
It's a weird city, bro.
Yeah, man.
It's a weird city.
Yeah.
Houston's a wild place.
It's wild. It's
Yeah.
weird. It's not like, everyone says the fact that there's no zoning laws plays into that, is that it's just like so mishmash and nothing really makes sense, and it's huge and it's spread out and there's so much stuff.
Super
There's
spread
no-
out
it's
like
super-
LA.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
wild. Yeah. Houston, I don't know, man. Like, I'm not a big Texas guy. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not a place I could see myself living, but everybody loves to go to Houston and party.
Yeah,
So it's
it
just
is
like,
definitely a fun place to go party for
Yeah.
Yeah,
sure.
you definitely party in Houston.
Yeah.
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 I mean, I don't know if I want to live in Texas like that, but, if the money's right, Dallas might work.
Yeah.
Dallas is dope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like Austin, Dallas, Houston.
Austin, Dallas, Houston.
Yeah, that's my lineup.
Yeah. No, man, we're dabbling in a city and maybe, maybe it's, what year is this? 2024? Maybe it's 2020, late 2025, 26 that, something can work out for us somewhere else. But
Yeah, we're hoping it does. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
yeah, I mean, what I say is like, if you can be successful in Chicago, right?
Oh, yeah.
I think you can go to any other city in this country and crush it, right?
Especially in the food and hospitality
Oh
industry.
yeah.
The
I
only
feel that
city
same
that
way.
I'm like, I love New York, but I could not see myself opening a place in New York. It's just so different. It's so much competition too. Just like places are way smaller. You know, like it. I love the cocktail scene. Like we talk about it. I love the people. It's beautiful women everywhere. You know, it's like great place. Fashion. New York's dope, right? But like, man, to think about opening a place in New York is just like wild to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love New York too, though.
Yeah, I
it's
love
like my
New
favorite
York.
city, other than Chicago. But like,
Yeah. It's the closest feeling I feel like to
Yeah.
Chicago.
Yeah.
You know,
It
like
is.
yeah,
I had never been to Houston before I moved there, and it's the second largest or third largest or whatever. It's like it's a prominent city in this country. So I'm thinking like, okay, New York's a big city, Chicago's a big city,
Houston.
I'm gonna go there and it's gonna be like kind of the same,
That
tall
feel.
buildings.
Yeah.
Like it's none of that.
None of
I was
that.
like,
No.
this is I was struggling. Like you can't even call this a city. Like I
Yeah.
can't walk from my crib
yeah.
anywhere.
It's like
Yeah.
a big suburb.
It is.
And that's how like LA is too, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I used to love LA. Love it. Pandemic happened. Totally changed how LA is. LA is just like one big ass suburb. You know, it's like all these different suburbs into one big city. So spread out. I used to do events all the time. Like I said, I worked for a cocktail bar out there, but I used to do events at this place called The Dime on Fairfax. Like all the cool little spots. I used to always do pop-up stuff, right? My friends that lived in Santa Monica would be like, yo, traffic, 8 o'clock hit. Nah, I'm over here. I'm like, it's only 8. They're like, nah, bro, I'm not about to drive in 2-hour traffic.
Yeah.
And then have to drive back. They're like, no. And I'm like, damn, do I really want to do something out here? Like, nobody's really going to want to drive. Like, that's how Houston is, you know?
Yeah.
It's so spread out, but it's like, it's a good place to party for sure.
Yeah. I'm trying to smoke a hookah, bro. I've been fiending for a hookah.
Hookah.
That's Houston.
Houston got me
Yeah,
hooked
I
on
heard Houston got them
hookahs.
crazy
That's like
out there.
every spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's every spot. In Chicago, it's
You
like,
don't see it. No, it's like one every. I don't even know, man.
because it's like the alcohol and the hookah here, it's just like, it's not you can't do it. So it's, you know, that's what makes it weird.
Yeah. I think they won't let you smoke indoors, right? The city
No,
or something
they
like
won't.
that.
No.
Mm-hmm.
No.
And those electronic ones don't do it, bro.
Yeah.
Don't try and sell me.
Yeah.
The worst is when someone tries to sell me a hookah and I'm like, is it a real hookah? And they're like, yeah, it's real.
It's
I'm
like,
like,
nah,
it's
nah, bro,
not
it's
real.
not
This
it.
is
Like,
electronic.
Yeah, it's like, I think you gotta be what, BYOB or something, like when you
Yeah, it has to
hookah
be
spot?
BYOB.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why you don't see them here. It will never catch on.
Yeah. Is there like a concept that you guys are looking to do in the future or something, or an idea that you guys have that's not so much like what you have right now, like the cocktail brunch, nice aesthetic kind of vibe? Like, do you have plans or hopes of doing anything else, like a coffee shop or a hookah shop or something, anything different? I know I asked you about the nightclub, but
Yeah. Coffee shop, probably not. Not in my wheelhouse, right?
Yeah.
Like I just don't see where the money is, right? Like I don't see. And you want it to be nice, you want it to look good. It's like, man, coffee. I mean, like, no, I can tell you this, because I've seen other operators attempt to do, say, a coffee shop / bar / small bites. Never works out.
yeah.
Never works out. Rather you're closed 2 years, 3 years, or whatever. And I've seen, and these some really good operators, and it doesn't work out. And it's hard for me to even say coffee because I don't even like coffee.
Yeah, he don't like
I don't even like.
I love coffee,
Yeah.
but
And to this day, I still don't understand it.
You
very
drink
much.
Red Bulls or anything?
No, I don't do none of that shit.
No caffeine.
I do salt water.
That's why you look so young and you're all swolled up on the
Man.
couch over there. Over here drinking coffee, just fat, old, gray hairs and shit.
I always say like I would entertain something like that if like I'm on like concept 30.
Right.
Where I'm just like, yo, this is a vanity kind of project. Like
Yeah.
I'm not really stressing if it's not gonna work out.
Yeah.
Like it's something I'm really passionate about or whatever. Like do this cool hip hop coffee shop or whatever. You know what I mean? Or
Yeah,
you
yeah,
got
yeah.
records in it. And it's like I can afford to just keep it open. If it does good, it does good. Hopefully, it just breaks even. And if it's a vanity project kind of thing, cool. You know what I mean? But like, I have to get to that point first where I'm like, I'm good with these that I've already created. Cool. I want to do a vanity project. You know, I have one that, I talk about with my wife. My wife's from LA. So we always were like, we owned a pizza place together, right? And it didn't work out how we wanted it to work out. And we're like, man, eventually one day after it's all said and done, whether it's 100 concepts or whatever, we open a little pizza place on the beach in LA,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And we don't care if it works or not. It's just like,
It's just what you want to
we
do.
still got our recipes. You know what I mean? Like, and it was some hip hop music and good ass pizza.
Yeah.
You know?
That's dope.
And that's kind of like, we'd be on the beach just like chilling, arguing with each other, like we were at the pizza place. You know what I'm saying? So, on some old couple shit. But yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you look at it, man, like most like really garbage, they don't really go outside the box. Think about
No.
it, right? They kind of stay in the lane of whatever food, cocktails.
What they do.
They stay in it. They dabble out. Probably didn't work when they dabbled out anyway, right? And so like, and then you get a couple of these spaces where like they're like almost like a fad, you want to be a Tulum, restaurant or whatever else is hot too.
Yeah.
Something was hot for a while too, like. I don't know.
I mean, you see it start popping up, like multiple of these things popping up. You're like, this has like no soul.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Cookie cutter.
and you see it in the clubs too. Like, you go to certain clubs, you be like, oh, they were trying to make this like, this is gonna last like 2 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and for us, like, the beauty now that we're getting out, we're going to other spots and we're like trying them out, and like, you can see like certain people that like do what they do well. They don't really. We talk about the Tao guys all the time, right? Tao got this cool thing that we talk about, the 80-20 rule, right? Taos are everywhere, but if you go to whatever city that Tao has, it's 80% the same, 20% different.
Every venue.
Every Tao venue,
Right.
And it's wild because if you go to the different Taos after we read this article, I'm like, oh shit, like Vegas, it looks like Tao, but it's a little different than the one that's in LA, right? And it's a little different than the one that's here, but it's all similar, but it's got a 20% thing that's different.
It's like a unique feel to where it fits whatever city they're in.
And they figured the shit out.
Yeah.
That's dope. I had never heard that. That was from an article?
Yeah, we read it. It was a fucking long article.
Dope.
And what's really cool about those two dudes, like, and I seen the guys that I worked for in LA are similar to extent, not on their level yet, but they're on the guys I worked for in LA. I seen them like scale in hotels, New York, Nashville, Seattle. The Tao dudes were so crazy. He sent me the article. They started throwing parties in New York, and then it graduated to them opening up spaces and then Tao, and then like all over the world. And it's like, that's, and then you kind of see like where you come from, and like we started in the industry, and then like, we doing events, and it just grows into this thing. You got the duplex, you got Revolver, and it's like, that's what you really want. You want to get on that if that's your passion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But just in our way, different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because I don't know if you know, like, man, I remember like Tao had even sold majority of their business to Madison Square Garden, right? And that was a big deal for them because, like, I don't know if you noticed, but if you look and see what Tao has done in the last 5 years has been fucking crazy.
Crazy.
You talking about they're all over the country. Listen, the investment, it is there, the money is back, and they're gonna crush it,
And we always talk about that, like in the space that we're in. There's a lot of people in our world, which is, hip hop or athletes or African American guys or like just urban in general, guys that are about the culture and want to invest their money in something like this. And it's like, to be attractive to those people, that's like our goal, is to like keep building these concepts, be so where people can be like, yo, instead of me putting my money in Joe Schmo over here, Man, it's these two cool guys that got this thing going on, and they're building like all these different concepts. Like, because we really don't want to do the same concept over and over like a lot of other people. I like, Italian food. I like, Asian food. I'm like, why can't we build all these type of restaurants and bars and stuff? Like we like clubs too, but not the way the clubs are now. Why can't we build a club, right? We can do whatever we want to do.
Yeah.
And hopefully, what we're doing, and I feel like people are like paying attention to what we're doing, is it attractive for people that want to invest in those type of things?
Man, everything he said is, spot on. And I think like it's one thing you can't measure, right? Anybody is the amount of grit they have. And if you think about it, your most successful people, high levels of grit. I think we all have some grit, right? I think we just scale it from 1 to 10 is how much grit do you have? Grit allows you to survive those dark nights, right? And those deepest days, right? It's like you got that. And that's some things that certain people can't see between me and him, right? But like if you heard the story, it would make sense. Like, oh shit. Like, because rather I like everything they're currently doing. I see the potential, but I also see the makeup of what they are, right? And it's like, they ain't going nowhere. The only place they're going is going to go up, So, and this is not, I'm not trying to sell ourselves right now, but
no.
in a sense, but that's the reality of it, man,
And I think the beauty of it too is like, we didn't come from money.
No.
We didn't inherit money to, me and this dude just grinded.
Yeah.
To be where we're at, like literally grinded. And I think we both appreciate that, and it makes it even more sweeter, like knowing what you're doing when you had to grind to get to where you at. Would I like to come into some money? Of course. I would have loved to have, be born with some money. But, unfortunately, that wasn't my path. This was my path, and it's kind of cool that, where we at.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And you were talking about like, curators and seeing them being able to do a night and being like, you should start your own spot, Does it make any sense? I just recently, have you ever seen Defiant Ones?
I didn't see it, man. No.
Jimmy Iovine, Dr. Dre story of Interscope Records.
I did. I say that back. I did. Yep.
I think I saw part of it.
Yep. It's so dope. I just recently rewatched it, and it just made me think of like the way that Jimmy Iovine just gave Dre, saw the potential in Dre, and then just gave him basically a label under him, gave him what do you give him? Aftermath?
Yeah.
Aftermath.
And then, and then he found M and gave M his little Empire, Shady. Like, you know what I mean? Like building that as a part of Interscope umbrella. Yeah. Like same kind of concept with doing that with someone who could throw a party or something,
Absolutely.
And we talk about that too. Like, we don't always want to be the guys that come up with the ideas, right? We would love to invest in people's ideas. We have the infrastructure. You may not be a good operator, or you may not be good at, making cocktails, right? Or good at coming up with a menu. I mean, that's why we got an executive chef. You know what I mean? But you might have a fucking crazy idea that we like, hey, I believe in this idea. This is what I want to do. I might have some change, whatever. Well, we got infrastructure. We got brand manager. We got, we got social media person. We got events coordinator. We got executive chef. We got somebody who curates the cocktails. We got management. We got, you know what I mean? Like everybody doesn't come with that, but ideas are valuable. You know what I mean? So like, of course, we would love to be those guys that can help people get their shit off. You know what I mean?
Yeah, cause I just think sometimes, like, different. I'm sure me and him is like you need an opportunity, right? And I don't think you have to go through everything, to finally hit it, right?
Right.
I think you do need to see some failure. I think you got to have some L's for sure, right? If you find out what you're really made of, because if you can't handle the L's, you can't handle the W's, So, and it's like. Listen, I was, again, we talk about somebody gifted me some money to open my own space. Yeah, it's great,
amazing.
But who would have known what would have happened in that scenario, So, the opportunity to collaborate with people in the future, absolutely, right? You know, they'll bring their concept, and what we'll do, we'll wrap our brain trust around their concept to help them build that out.
And I do have to give, like, we didn't do it all by ourselves, right? He did. I'm gonna tell you the truth. Duplex, he did a lot of that shit himself, right? From design to, it's remarkable what he did with that. I was very fortunate because two of my really close friends own construction companies, right? They're like my best friends that I grew up with. Just so happened that they end up starting construction companies. So it makes it easier for me to build out a space before I knew them, right? Because I got my guys there. If I need something, they're going to build it. They're going to, I get somebody to design it, they can figure it out, right? We've inherited, that too. That doesn't mean we don't have to pay for it. We still got to pay for it, but we got the guys to do that, right? So it is people that have helped us and, along the way too, so yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, man. It's just, it's crazy when you start getting involved and I never thought I would have like a social media person working for me and doing all this shit, but it's cool building this company,
Yeah. Do you feel like you have this brand, right? You have a cocktail lounge. You have this vision of what you want, this idea in your head, and then you see like what's popping on social media, what's popping on TikTok. You see that viral video of this place that did the fruity pebble, French toast.
Yeah.
And does that sort of influence you to lean into that? Like the same way as a DJ, I have my brand and what I envision, but then I see these TikToks of these DJ kids that are doing like corny ass shit. And I'm like, well, should I be making these corny TikToks? Is that what you know what I mean? Like, do you feel that influence?
So I really don't.
Okay.
Right.
That's good.
And I'm going to tell you why. Like, it's like knowing who you are, right? Like we know what we have, we know what we built, right? Yeah, we see some shit, oh man, that's kind of cool. How long does it last for, right? It's about the staying power. We talked about like, the kids are a little softer nowadays. The thing with that, at some point the pendulum will flip, right? And kids will harden again. And I think those who stay steady and consistent will be the ones who win. Like, it's cool. I wish, like, listen, we can do some cool shit one day that's kind of outside the box. That's great.
Yeah.
The problem is, how long does it last for? How long is it hot for?
But even not like, it doesn't have, you don't have to change your whole brand, but like you're doing a brunch party, right?
Yeah.
Maybe like, you put just one thing on the brunch menu that is like something like, oh, this could be super big on TikTok. Like, let's do this.
What have we done?
Cool.
We done
I
anything?
don't even know if we don't look at it that way.
Yeah.
So what we'll do is like, we do understand when something is Instagrammable or like would be visually pleasing, or that's why we have a social media person. Like they bring influencers in. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what they do. You know what I mean? Like they play the music or whatever. Like for us, it's kind of like you kind of got to stick to your guns a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, you're not going to RPM Steak to see them do some smoke
Dry ice
coming out of the cocktail or whatever, right? And I think like, and if you want to do that, that's great. That's your thing. But like, I like to be classic, but still current. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and I was like that even with my music.
Yeah.
Like, my favorite artists are classic, but current. You know what I mean? Like, I love Jay-Z, right? He was always relevant when he was, I loved Kendrick, right? Because he's classic, but he's always current.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're like timeless artists. Drake is a little gimmicky at times, but he makes good music, right? He's always gonna have hits. He's consistent on what he does. He's Drake. He's never gonna not be Drake. Whether you love it or hate it, he's gonna be Drake, right? Same with Kendrick. That's kind of like how I feel like our approach is, even for like cocktails and food or whatever. We're gonna be us, but we might throw like we got something coming out soon that matches the aesthetic of what we're gonna change the front of our cocktail bar to look like, right?
Yeah.
And it's gonna be visually pleasing and a little different. But I don't think we're going into it with the mindset of like, oh man, this is cool on TikTok.
Yeah.
No, it's just like something cool we want to do.
That's good.
Yeah.
I like to hear that because I personally feel like I am negatively influenced in that way. Like as somebody who's like trying to make things happen on the internet, trying to build my brand because I know how much weight it holds in the world that I'm in. If I have a strong social media following, is I'm like, okay, this is what's hot. Let me do it this, but like my way, obviously, but I'm still being influenced. And sometimes I feel like I hate it. I fucking despise it.
I think there's a difference between adapting to change and selling yourself. You know what I mean? Selling out kind of thing. Like selling out, right? I think you can adapt to like, I'll never forget like when I'm gonna date myself right now. When I started rapping, CD still was out, right? Niggas was putting mixtapes in the street.
You might have to explain
right?
for some people what a CD even
what
is.
a CD was, right? That's some dinosaur shit, right? And then, oh my God, SoundCloud happened. Like, oh damn, we're gonna push it on SoundCloud. Like, CDs is done. You know what I mean? Like, so you have to adapt. It doesn't mean like if you kept doing CDs, you're gonna be so stupid because nobody's using that shit anymore. Now it's like everybody got an iPod. You know what I mean? Like, so you MP3s and all that. It's like you have to learn how to adapt to the surroundings around. Otherwise, you're gonna be a dinosaur, right? You'll look goofy in what you're doing if you don't adapt. But there's a way to maintain who you are, and that's what we were talking about, like the restaurants. You start seeing 10 Tulum places, you can start figuring out like, okay, this is a fad, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But if it's like somebody's like, no, I really love Tulum, I want to create something that I really love doing, you can see the soul in that, right? It's like hearing music. Like if everybody's rapping the exact same way, it's like, who's gonna be a person and be like, no, I'm not gonna do that shit, I'm gonna do this. You know what I mean? Like, or if every DJ's playing the same exact set, who's gonna be the one that's gonna be like, no, I'm gonna be a little bit different? That's probably a person that's gonna end up like blazing his own path and become the most popular DJ. You know what I mean? And I think that's kind of like how we view what we do. It's like, you all can do that, but we're gonna do what we're doing, and it may be a slow burn, but like we're still gonna eventually, it's just gonna like catch fire.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I think it's just elements of it, right? I think if there's 5 elements of one and you 4 of the 5, that works. Now when you 2 of the 5, now you're on the outskirts a little bit, right? You're trying some different shit, right? But if let's like talking about 5 tools, man. If the restaurant offered you 5 different elements, right? And if you can stick to 4 of those elements, you're still a restaurant the way it should be, right? But then when you try to, you got somebody swinging through the restaurant or some shit, right? Like why? Like why? What are you doing? You got somebody dancing on the bar, like at a dinner space, like nah, it
Like
doesn't
just
last.
to get on TikTok, right?
Yeah.
And like I'm not knocking that because I don't knock people's hustle. Do your thing. It's just not my path. You know what I mean? Like I may be fucking crazy because, like I said, even in the music industry, right? When I was having my meetings with label, I always tell him this. Like, I always talk about this. Chief Keef was out, Lil Bibby was out, and I'm meeting with everybody. Like, I felt like I was on fire on the underground scene here. Like, I was doing shows, 250 people. This is great, right? I can't get a deal because I just felt like, yo, these guys are doing this drill shit, and I'm like over here sounding like some whole other shit that people do not want to sign right now. Do I go this way and be somebody that I'm not, or do I stick to my guns? And I feel like the best decision I made was to stick to who I am, because then it ended up, my path ended up being I own restaurants and bars, and I'm able to play the music that I think works and translates into the world that, and I was right because we're successful doing it. And it you just don't know your path, man. And that's why selling out to me never really was my thing. Like, it's one Jay-Z line that I love to death. He's like, well, he said, oh God, I can't think right now. Shit.
It'll come back.
It'll come back to me. I was
sure.
just thinking about this last night too, but it was just like, you know, basically he's always real. That's why he can sleep at night.
Yeah.
Right. And if you can lay your head on a pillow and know, like, I'm comfortable with how I ended my day or how I live my life, that's good enough for me. You know what I mean? It might be a slow kind of process to get to where you're trying to go, but, you know, that's just how I see it.
Yeah, that's real shit. The authenticity is what people crave right now, for sure. Even though there's so much bullshit, all the TikTok, all the social media, fake, this and that, blah, blah, blah. You have like that real, authentic, long form conversations. That's like, we're just shooting the shit. We're trying to be ourselves the best we can. Like, that is what people crave. I mean, I know I love it. I'm a fucking pod fiend. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, but that could have been like, I seen your podcast is dope. You know what I mean? Like, it's a lot of people that got podcasts that aren't as good as yours. You know what I mean? That could have been your lane along with you, but that came from you being a DJ.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're popular being a DJ. So it's a natural trend. Like, I got a built-in. The crazy part to me is like, yo, I'm a rapper. I'm known for being a rapper. I tell him all the time, how I knew the cocktail industry was for me is like, Hennessy did an event with me in Hollywood, right? And I was like, yo, is this shit actually gonna be packed? And I was fucking nervous. More nervous than if I was to perform, right? And I'm like, damn, it was packed as fuck. And I was like, this is my path. Like, I got people in Hollywood, like, it was like Thomas Jones was there, Tinashe was there. Like, I'm like, this is fucking crazy. You know what I mean? Then I came back to Chicago, fucking Janet Jackson came to fucking Deadbolt. I'm like, in Logan Square, Janet Jackson came to fucking Logan Square.
That's crazy. I didn't know
and
that.
I'm like, yo, this is, Hannibal Buress was there every week. I'm like, yo, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, right? Like,
Was Sharkula there though?
no,
Sharkula wasn't there. I don't know what to tell you, bro.
no, like, that's when I tell them all the time, like, we had Dreamville come to the duplex. Like, I'm like, this is my path. Like, the music game, I was just able to take that and kind of like put it over here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It wasn't meant for me to be in the industry, you know, in that way.
Yeah.
I wrote songs for TV shows and performed and did, but I was never Drake or J. Cole or Big Sean, who was coming out at that time. And it used to burn me up too. I used to be pissed at one point, but yeah. But this was my path. You know what I mean? Same for you. I just don't sell out being who you are for, you know, some clicks.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's facts.
It's good shit.
Yeah.
I like that. Should we wrap it? Should we wrap it on that? I feel like that's a nice button right there.
It's
boom.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Unless you guys got anything else you want to throw in.
No, anything you
That's
want to
on
get
you,
in.
man. If you got questions or anything.
I do have one last question, honestly. The like nightlife itself, right? No matter what you do in it, just being in nightlife is so alcohol infused.
Oh man.
A lot of boozing, a lot of schmoozing, you're networking, you're taking shots with people, you're out, you're hanging, you're drinking. That is something that sometimes I'm like thinking I'm drinking too much because I'm working a lot. I'm working. I'm getting all this money. I got all this work, but with work comes a lot of drinking.
Yeah.
And then thinking about staying in the industry as an owner or something, it's the same industry. It's the same thing. You know what I mean? You're a different position. You're elevated. You're climbing the ladder, but you're still in the same world.
Oh yeah.
Like, does that affect you guys at all? Does that catch up with you? Is that something, you know what I mean?
Oh, for sure, man.
We talk about this shit all the time.
Yeah, it's like, you know, we talk about like, man, we'll take 3 days off, you know, take 5 days off, and it's like
not drinking.
It's like, and man, it was a time like I didn't even notice. I probably drank, man, 4 or 5 months straight without a day off.
I think we did.
Yeah, like without a day off.
For sure.
And it's like sometimes that was like, all right, we just had a rough fucking day. And it was like the only thing we could do, because we talked about our problems every day. Like I talk to this man when I talk to my wife, you know. So
same.
it's like, all right, man, fuck it. We do tequila on the rocks. We're doing old fashioned, and
Bro,
but
gain 20 pounds.
You put on weight real fast. Like it comes overnight, and it's like then you're like, man, my workouts ain't the same. You know, like you don't feel the same, and it's like so I eat once a day, and so the problem with that though is that, because I'm in this industry, and there's days where we're tasting liquor and shit like that.
You gotta do
that is
it.
my first calorie. Like no, but even like that's my first calorie. My
That's
first calorie
crazy.
should be
For it
something
to be
healthy.
your first calorie is
Yeah, it's
crazy.
like what I go
that's a
16
lie.
hours for. I just went 16 hours without eating, and I'm gonna fucking have this cocktail.
Yeah.
So now we try our best, I think, to regulate it, right? I think we do. I think, now it's like, all right, because we gotta get quality sleep. I wear this Whoop, man, so I track my sleep and shit. And I notice every night when I had too much to drink, I sleep like shit.
Oh yeah.
So, but I think it's really hard. It's hard on us because we're in this current position that we're in right now, where we are talking about schmoozing, we're talking about networking. We're shaking hands, you're buying drinks. There's somebody came in for a birthday that he put together, and they want to take a shot with him, or you're taking a shot with somebody.
It'd be the day you're not drinking.
Right.
Yeah, it'd be the day you just told yourself, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
And again, man, I think everything in life is about balance, right? Listen, I know some people who probably shouldn't drink, and there's people who probably shouldn't smoke and probably shouldn't do other things because of whatever it is. But if you can discipline yourself enough to where you can have that fucking cheesecake on Sunday, right? That burger on Wednesday, and you had half a bottle on Friday. You know what I'm saying? Like then, and if you can, you can hold yourself to it without not going overboard, you'll be fine.
And I think the other thing, like, you hold yourself to a higher standard, because it's like, damn, I'm drinking every day. I'm not drunk every day. I'm having a drink every day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I think I've seen him drunk like twice.
Yeah.
And I've been around him every day for years, right?
Yeah.
And he's probably seen me drunk a few times, right?
Yeah.
A little bit more than him. But like, and it's so funny. Like, I had this girl that I met one time in a bar, and I was like, oh man, you guys want a shot? You know what I mean? And she's like, how many girls do you buy shots for? I'm like, honestly, all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, not to say you're not a special person, but I buy girl shots all the time. Like, I'm in a bar all day, every day. I just had a friend had a birthday at the duplex yesterday. We did 2 shots, right? Oh my God, a girl I haven't seen for 10 years was at the duplex. We need to do a shot. I'm like, damn, I wasn't even drinking today, right? Then I just seen another girl. This is the same day. This was yesterday. Another girl I haven't seen for a while. Let's do a shot, right? That's like 4 shots. And I said, and I didn't even eat anything all day yet. That's the first thing that I'm doing.
Yeah.
So, and you feel like shit afterward. You're like, damn, I told myself I wasn't gonna drink today.
Yeah.
It's like,
Start beating yourself up.
it's a part of the game, though.
Yeah.
It is part of it. And I think, like, as we attempt to expand, I think it'll probably be less. Because you're so consumed, you're not in these spaces that long, right?
Yeah.
We're at duplex for 4 or 5 hours, right? You're gonna run to people you see and meet, and they want to. We're at Revolver for 3-4 hours. You're in a cocktail bar, so it's gonna happen. And I think we're at a point now we don't want to be too rude with people. Like, if they offer you a drink, all right, whatever, sure, right?
Yeah.
So we do a little bit of that, and obviously we politic quite often.
Yeah.
And I'm giving out shots all the time, just because I don't like talking to people, in reality. So he's like, hey, you want to take a shot? And I can just run off, Yeah. I'm out, So
It's a strong move.
yeah, it is, man.
Let's
I've
do a
gotten
shot.
good at it.
Cool. Had a good one. All right, I'm over here. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
especially women, man. It's just like, you gotta do the shots with them, man. It's crazy.
And listen, I don't know what your aspirations is in the nightclub or opening space, but I'm saying what you have to understand is your uniqueness and the brand that you're still building, that you've already built. Say you open up a space, right? You already have a following, G. You already have it that are in this scene.
Yeah, man.
And so, like, you've been a successful DJ. You got your own podcast. I know you and Dolo doing some crazy shit before, right? But it's like,
doing
but
some
y'all,
crazy
man,
shit.
but you've created this base, and that base, man, gonna go wherever you go. You open a space, boom, right there, right? So
I look on your Instagram followers. I'm like, oh, this girl follows, this girl follows, this girl I know follows. You know what I mean? You've had Slot on here,
Slot,
which is one of the homies
man.
from
Yeah.
way back. You
Yeah.
know, it's funny. I met Slot when he first moved here too, so it's like I've known him forever. So like, you got such a crazy network that it's like,
Yeah. And all DJs got your back, man. So you ain't never worry about music. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I think that's, listen, whenever it is or wherever it is, and
coffee
just-
shop.
yeah, coffee shop that playing fucking music, whatever it is, like, man, like you have what people don't have when they're trying to open a space for the first time.
For sure.
That's a difficult part, right? Like you've conquered, you have the network, right? And that's sometimes hard to come by. Like people pay for networks, right? You don't have
Yeah.
to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
So,
why like Drink Champs or whatever is the most popular, Joe Budden and them, or whoever, Joe Rogan, whatever. Really,
One of the Joes.
one of the Joes,
one
right?
of the Joes, right? The reason that they're so successful is because of their listeners, their following, how many people. That's how they get their money.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's the same shit as on the bar. It's like, granted, it's a lot of other things. Just like it's a lot of other. You gotta have somebody that chops it up and does the sound and what. It's the same shit with us. We gotta have somebody make the cocktails and same shit
Yeah.
but different.
No, I appreciate it. Thank
Yeah,
you
man.
guys for the kind words and
Absolutely.
and the inspiration for sure.
Yeah.
I'm definitely
Sure.
and me and I was talking to Slot about doing some kind of brunch party with like cool music and shit.
Yeah.
And maybe kind of trying to tie it into the podcast and have Kid Clay and Sigma Chris with it because they were also on the pod and we could
Yeah.
try
Yeah, I
and
seen that. Yeah,
Oh, I didn't see
Clay.
that one.
worlds
Yeah.
collide and all that. So maybe we can
And
figure
those
something
are
out.
people that we all
Yeah.
mess with.
Clay's
man.
the homie,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
And they
Sigma.
got their own space,
Yeah.
that they built and created, which is fucking cool to see those guys
Yeah.
do that. Like, we're all about that. Like, I've gone there a couple times. We've gone together a couple times, like, to support them dudes. Like, to see them go from throwing parties to having their
Taking
own
that leap.
space, that takes guts.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Fuck yeah.
And their shit's packed. You know what I mean? Like, they do it their way, and it works for them. Like, you know what I mean? So...
Mhm.
Yeah, and they're good, man. They're all good dudes, man. It's like, because Clay used to come to us for like just to chop it up about like the shit that we deal with all the time, and things that he didn't know. Like man, like listen, it is as tough as it is. There is some fulfillment and rewards afterwards, So
It's so wild. Me and Clay had a conversation, like, because it's the DJ side and it's the owner side, right? And he's like, Chris, I get what you were saying. Like, that DJ payroll is no joke. I was like, yeah, that shit is no
I know we're
joke.
over here like
Yeah.
just give me $100 more, bro.
Yeah.
Fucking, that's all we're
Because
asking
it doesn't
for.
seem like $100
Yeah.
to the DJ. It's like, man, it's just $100. But like to us, we're like, bro, I'm taking this $100 from somebody.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
From something.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, and like, it's cool having those conversations with Clay because it's like, now he's a DJ owner. And it's like, it's
looking at it
wild,
different.
man.
He switched sides, bro.
yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck up,
Switched
he ain't
up
on our
He's
team
still
no
out
more,
there,
bro.
you know.
Diamond Cut, you hear this?
So like, yeah, it's like, so we had them cool conversations. Like we'll be sitting there like chopping it up just about like what it's like to be on your own shit,
Yeah.
And
for us, it's never ever a hassle because that's therapy for us. You know what I'm saying? It is like to talk about the fucking bullshit we deal with all the time. Like, man, it's like sometimes it's good to get off your chest, right? Like, I don't do therapy. I don't think he does either.
No.
But like, we talk about like, man, like being vulnerable about shit that we've been through is really good to do it with people who are coming on or either doing some of the shit that we're doing. Because they have an understanding. We all have an understanding of what that looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And I gotta give a lot of credit to the DJs that work with us. They've been real patient with us. You know what I mean? Like, as you're opening a space and like going through stuff, and like they've been super cool. Like the DJ community here is fucking pretty legit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of talented DJs in Chicago. It's crazy how many good DJs it is here.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
Some of the best, some would say.
I-
Some would
I
argue
would
that
think
the
so.
best
Yeah.
come from here.
I mean, they go to different cities and can go crazy.
Mhm.
And they're like, yo, I've had DJs, I got married in LA because my wife's from there. And then, like, I brought all the DJs that I fuck with out there for my wedding. And the people in LA was going crazy, right? And it was cool to see, like, how it translates over into another region. And, like, we got some really dope DJs in Chicago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Well, alright. Battle raps cause I've shaken grown men to the point that they can't even face their own friends. That's why they rhyme about jewels, not life, cause the ice on which they skating is so thin. That's what I love about the human soul. It'll usually show when the truth ain't told. Use a lie.